Mate, what an honor to sit with one of South Africa's legends. I consider him a legend because he's consistent as well. There's humility as well. And he has blessed us with hit Kati Ano Thebe, and also one of the most lovable television hosts you can find. We're talking about Stone, and for that we need to really go back to the Stone Age so that we collect as much information and bring it back to the present. That Stone, my man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was a group in that day.
I was looking at Encore the other day. All of us skinny there. I was like, yo, these are the days.
You still maintain. Look how good you look, man. Now I might have gone south a little bit.
No, I think you've maintained very well too.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. We used to follow you, Libo Thebe, whether you're going to Letlamoreng, you know, that era, man. Yeah. If you had to go back, would you look at that as, oh my gosh, we had a great time?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I think back to those times with great fondness. You know, like, you know, when you were growing up, you hear people talk about, you know, especially overseas TV, they talk about what happened at Woodstock.
Yes.
You know, in the roaring 60s.
Yes.
I think we had the roaring 90s, man. Mm-hmm. You know, it was a really, really great time for music. Everything was new. Everybody was the first to do it, you know? And so the possibilities were endless back then. You know, now you see quite a lot of conforming to a certain formula or, you know, certain things that work, and then people stick by them. New artists keep bringing them the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was a great time in our industry and music, man.
Jeez. Bob Bruce.
Yeah.
God. Suffice to say, I'm just putting it out there. In our lifetime, will we ever have the reunion ya Bongo Maffin or not?
Look, your guess is as good as mine. Gadlala. Look, I think if, you know, God puts it in our path and the conditions are right, it will happen. A lot has happened, you know. It's human relations, and sometimes family, you know, because it's family, little things tend to be blown up into like huge things. So I hope at some point, you know, guys will put a little bit of God in their hearts and remember that it's not just about us, it's not just about our own feelings, but, you know, our music touched lives. It's the soundtrack to a lot of important moments in a lot of people's lives. And if there's any reason to do it, it should be that for the people. You know?
Absolutely. I mean, we will wait for, I don't know, we got at least a taste of Straight Outta Compton when we waited for NWA to come together, when we waited for Detox to drop, when you're looking for the Fugees to come together. So people that have been affected by you guys musically long for that because we know what you gave us.
No doubt.
You know, it was a beautiful thing. You know, when we got married, you know, there were songs that we played, Bongo Maffin.
Yeah, so, you know, the other day I was actually, I posted, you know, I think on Instagram, just saying that it's crazy to contemplate that we are, first of all, in this energy and space as the members of Bongo Maffin amongst each other, our interpersonal relationships. But this year is actually 20 years of Bongo Maffin music, and it's something that we should be celebrating, something that we should take pause and be thankful for, because first of all, we are all still alive and healthy. Absolutely. A lot of groups have lost either one, two, or maybe all of the guys like Chisco, Mandoza, you know, Le General, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's you know, we should give thanks, and I hope maybe sometime this year and just think of even doing one, you know, tribute show to our own careers and the contribution that we've made to the business.
So you come too far.
See what you can do.
Stone, come on.
Yeah, no. It's let's put it out there. You see, if you talk about things and attract it, the universe will give it to you.
Absolutely brilliant. Listen, it's Africa Month in May. One of the things that I admire now is your ability to use your language so efficiently and proficiently, and also to educate as well, and to appreciate Umtswana. And then you come in on a song like I'm a fat and set, right?
Yeah.
But you just bring in this maturity of language, you know. You know what I mean? No, with the, you know, we're looking at the young people that are doing this, but you're doing it in your language. I still appreciate it, and danced, but appreciate
Yeah.
No,
I think
how important is that for you as Stone?
It's very important. It's actually critical that we, maintain our languages, our culture, because it's disappearing. If you look at media, I look at it this way. A lot of the kids that studied to, say, be producers right now, to be radio, TV producers, magazine editors, a lot of them, say, come from that 1%, 2% that is the middle class in South Africa. The rest of the population is kids from the townships, kids from the rural areas, and so on and so forth. So what's happening, you have a very small group of people that are influencing what millions are consuming. And as a result, they are only going down the rabbit hole that they were put down, which is the English rabbit hole and Western culture. I see it with my kids. They think everything that's made in America is the best. They see Starbucks, they want to get into the line for Starbucks. You know what, for coffee and donuts, magwinya coffee, Joe, So I think it's really important to show that guys like Brahu, I finished Still Grazing, one of the first books I've finished reading in a long time, a couple of months back. And I saw, wow, how much Brahu was struggling with his music when he was trying to be as much of a jazz musician as Dizzy Gillespie. But as soon as he became an African, he became immensely successful. And that's what I saw when we were traveling overseas. That's what I saw when people were coming here in their droves to see what we were doing, and that's what I continue to see when American musicians are posting themselves. Black Coffee is playing in the background, and Black Coffee is playing the stuff he's producing here for artists from here. It's happening repeatedly to show that if we actually were to preserve ourselves and our identity and our culture and present it to the world on an international level, quality and presentation on the right level, we would actually do very well.
We came up with Kwaito. This was our own thing.
Yeah.
I
call it hip hop now. Go to.
But let's be fair that each genre of music will borrow from another.
It's not even borrowing. Come on. It's Kwaito. TKS was doing Kwaito. I think HP has always been doing Kwaito. Kulichan has been doing Kwaito. So I think for me it's just what they call it. Mendoza was. Let's take it back the other way. Mendoza was dropping hooks and verses.
Yeah.
TKZ was dropping hooks and verses. Yeah. Bongo Maffin was dropping hooks and verses. So. But will
there ever be a truce between these two genres of music? Because I feel whether I have a speaker sitting over there, or speaker will always speak about Kwaito, you know what I'm saying? And always say, we are the ones that started it. Ngapa hip hop would say, no, move on, man, guys, it's our time.
Well, it's the youngsters' time, but I don't think that it's unless we're mimicking. Yes, there are artists that are mimicking the hip hop from overseas, and you can call them hip hop artists. But you see, hip hop was an identity for a generation from a geographical location. Once you borrow it and make it your own, I think it becomes your own, and you call it what you call it.
Okay.
I think in France they probably have a word for their hip hop. They don't call it I'm a hip hop artist. They've got, I'm sure, a word for what they do in Cuba. I think it goes the same in Brazil. I think it's the same. Anywhere where the art form which was born of hip hop, and a hip hop which was borrowed from Africa too. If we really had to get
if we have to get finicky about it.
So back in the day, Bobo. These guys, Muhammad Ali was borrowing the spoken word that he had learned from the Gogos, as they were doing. They were always speaking in rhyme, So for now, it's with our own identity, with hip hop, what it's been doing, and what caused hip hop to go over the tipping point with guys like Casper, guys like Cooley, HP, who have all been mega stars in that year where they had their hottest year. They were the hottest artists across the board, jazz, house, whatever, gospel, whatever, and they were always leaning more towards that Kwaito identity, man. They were always representing the streets with the language, with the dress, with the attitude. You know, right now that one of the hottest like stables is these Kanda guys. It's Cash Time.
Yeah.
And what is the identity, man? They've strongly maintained a streets Kasi identity. And they've been successful through that, immensely successful through that. So, I think, yeah, man, it's Kwaito. Big Nas is Kwaito.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Professor.
It's Kwaito.
Professor.
You know, yeah.
One of the most beautiful, pure, also Kwaito CD, Halloween. You know, for Halloween was beautiful work.
Yeah.
You know, are we saying that genre of music is dead now?
I think in that form it probably is. But you know, it will keep coming up as, you know, like when Kwesta is dropping his lines in Ngoto, it sounds like any other Kwaito song from the classic era, you know. Yeah. And I think that's why it resonates so much with people. You know, the delivery is not so like tight. Yeah. You know, and so as a result, you know, I think, but if we were to try and now bring back that whole age, it's gone. That's why people still like go crazy when a Kwaito Mega Milk comes up and Oskido is playing there and stuff. So I think let's leave everything.
No, but it's said that the whole genre of music, a whole movement could just die. I mean, jazz is way back, but it's not dead. You know what I mean?
It's up to the artists that were making that to remain current. They've made that music. Why do they want to stick with it? Jay-Z is still current with the artists that he did, but if you were to look at his discography, he's progressed, you know, in terms of his style, in terms of the production that he's getting onto his style. The same thing for Kanye. He started off with very soulful music. He's really gone. A lot of his music has those trap elements, those really hard, like digital elements, that dirty sounds and stuff like that. So I think it's up to the artists that are in charge of that music, or were in charge of that music, to progress with the times, because the markets are changing. The people in your market, some of them are dying, some of them are losing interest, some of them, the growing market is that one, of those kids, the stuff that you hate, you know, that trap stuff, that find your space within it. You know, I could venture to say a lot of Maskandi music has those patterns that get you like, you know,
and still appreciate Maskandi.
Yeah, you could still, you know, go in there. You know how DJ Clock, when he did Pluto, he was thingy. When he did Pluto, he put a Maskandi guitar into that song with guys that were rock artists. You know, so I think music is a mission, not a competition. Enough man want to use it for confusion.
Oh, come on now, stop, because we demand that you release now. Bona, not to really exhaust this, but it's amazing to me that, you know, the whole thing, where it is right now, whether Abukuli or whoever, it just started with one guy going Saturday, Sunday. Do you know what I mean? And there's no tribute to that man. You know what I'm saying? Because let's remove Usinyaka from that. And what is it that we first heard? That was hip hop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
True.
And then you had Bokaramo, Bra music. Sampled there and there. I mean, for us who listen to music. You know, you had Karamo coming in there as well. You know, when the genre, you had Bo Mischief, man.
Yeah. Mischief, R.I.P., you know,
you know what I mean? But even Bo Amu, even Bo Selvin, man, Itlanyale rap was there as well, you know?
But my point with that, I think, goes back to what I'm saying about artists that, you know, started off with that music need to remain relevant. You know, a guy like Oskido has remained relevant, right? But if you are in charge of the legacy, the guys in charge of the legacy have to make sure that we remember, you know. You know, Madiba has the Nelson Mandela Foundation, so that we don't forget him. You know, there's the Oliver Tambo Foundation and many other foundations, you know. The people in those people's circles, the people in those people's families, you know, need, you know, like Flubber's brothers, the Squatter Camp guys need to make sure that Flubber is always remembered. I just saw now there's going to be a Brown Dash tribute concert. I think that's a great initiative, you know, by the people who are in charge of that. And I hope that it will actually reach all the intended outcomes, you know, which is also, he was a breadwinner, you know, and stuff like that. So we need to also get up and be the change that we want to see in the world.
Absolutely. We're coming back, Nobra Stone.